What's good, everyone? This is Marcus the Fingaz, live again with another episode of the Syncrets To Success podcast. If you don't know who I am the Fingaz, D-A-F-I-N-G-A-Z. I am a music composer, producer, beat maker, whatever you want to call me. I have placements with National Geographic, Smithsonian, BET, MTV, Fox, Stars. So diving in on the sync space and trailer space. And today I want to talk about the trailer space specifically. And I might do a couple episodes on the trailer space. And also, before we get into it, what I want to talk about today, this episode is sponsored by ASTS. ASTS is an incredible sound design company creating sounds and libraries and plugins and things for creators like me and you to use in our music productions. They just released, as of a couple days ago, their latest release, which is called Creatures. It's like voice creatures and things, so you can use it for sound design elements. You can use it in your music productions if you want to have that ear candy. You can also use it in your trailer stuff if you do trailer music. And I was playing it the other day when they released it, and I was just playing the demo track, and I was in the back of the car, and my wife, I think my daughter and my daughter might have been driving, and they were like, "What are those sounds?" And I was like, "I'm just listening to this new library." So some great, crazy, creepy sounds, which is great for the season we're about to enter. The time I'm going live, we're about to go into like Halloween scary season. So definitely check out ASTS. In the description, there will be a link you can use, and you can use a discount code for 20% off anything you purchase from ASTS. So shout out to them for sponsoring this episode. Now we're going to talk about trailer music, and in particular, something that I've been dealing with recently. I'm working with a new library, and they gave me a heads up earlier this week, like, hey, do you do hip hop? And can you send us some references? So I sent them my Disco link. I've mentioned Disco before. Check out the Disco link below if you want to try out Disco to manage your catalog. Great for sending out music to clients, partners, sync libraries, music supervisors, things like that. And I sent them a Disco link of hip hop like sampler tracks that I have. And didn't hear from them for like 3 or 4 days. So I was like, okay, maybe they just passed on it, which is fine. Opportunities come and go, things change, schedules change. But then the weekend hit, and they were like, hey, we're going to send you the information for this track we want you to remix. And I was like, okay, they want to remix. So my mind is already going to remix land, which is different for me than like trailerization. So they sent over the details, and in fact, it was a trailerization remix, which is different to me than a remix. So they wanted a track, a classic hip hop track trailerized. So they sent me the details, and I interpreted it my way. And I took about, let's say, 6-7 hours to do my version of what I thought the brief was saying, and I trailerized it. Luckily, this is key, I had several days to work on it, so I didn't have to turn it in for a couple days. And I was like, okay, let me get a version 1 out within 24 hours. So within the first day, actually probably less than a day, half a day, I had a version 1 ready for them, and I sent it to them. Now this is key, because if I had waited to the last day, we would have missed the opportunity, because the version 1 I did was totally off the mark. They were like, this is more of a superhero cinematic trailer that you did of this trailerization, and we want more of a comedy. And they told me what at that point they told me what the project was. They didn't tell me before, so I didn't really have the full context. And they're like, sorry, this is the project we're doing for, so it's not really superhero type movie. This is more like comedy TV show. So I revamped it. Luckily, the track that I already made, I can repurpose that. So this is how I think about tracks that I make. I can always reuse them if they're not accepted, or hopefully it's not too super custom. I can place it somewhere else. So with the first track I did that was too cinematic, epic, I can take out the trailerization elements. I can take out the vocals and things like that, and I can keep, of course, the sound design, the whoosh hits, the risers, things like that. Maybe take out the tonal elements, unless I can make it work. And I'm already thinking how I can take another song and maybe trailerize it on the track that I already have as a foundation, because that's done. I did the work there, so I can repurpose that. And then the new track I made for them, I basically took some of the elements. I was able to pare back a lot of it because I didn't need all the epic cinematic superhero stuff. I just needed more comedy, more stops, more breaks. So just adding in more breaks, more percussion hits and stop downs and things like that. So having a backup plan, I think I mentioned this before in a previous episode, you want to always have a backup plan, always have a second option for the tracks that you're making, because if the first one doesn't go through, then what do? You just have tracks collecting dust. So luckily I work with way too many libraries, and I always have another library I can submit to. I can always revamp the project for the library I'm working with, so things like that. And of course, you might get rejected. Again, this is just an opportunity. This is a new library I'm working with, so I really want to try to knock it out the park with them. And we still have several days left, so I have time to get to the version that they want to submit to the client, and then hopefully we get it placed. This is a new library I'm working with. I don't exactly know if they have several composers working on the same brief, or if they just do one person at a time. So I try not to get too into the weeds with that. It does help to know, like, if they're sending it to 40 composers. I do know that I actually do know that this library in particular, when I talked to them, they told me they only do, like, if they're doing projects like this, they might send it to 3 or 4 max, sometimes just one. I work with other libraries where I know they're sending like a blast to like 40 composers. So and just taking those things into precaution, into awareness as I'm working on the music, because if I'm going to spend 6-7 hours doing customization or longer, is it worth doing it for a library that has 40 composers and they're probably going to choose their favorites if they go for it? Maybe they'll get 10 submissions, or is it better to go with the library that only sends it to 4 composers and maybe 2 of us will do it? So it's a numbers game in that respect. So you want to keep those things in, or I keep those things in mind when I'm going after these opportunities for the sync and trailer space, knowing those numbers. So when I talk to libraries, maybe I'll do a whole other episode of what questions to ask when you are speaking to libraries before you sign with them or join them. One of those questions I ask is how many, not how many are on your roster, but how many get the opportunities that you send these to. So how many will get the trailer opportunities or the sync opportunities? That way I sort of know what I'm up against when I decide to go for it. And usually, let's say a roster has a couple hundred people. Obviously not all 100 will go for the opportunity, but you might get a decent percentage of it. So sometimes you get asked that question. But I'll do a whole nother episode on what questions to ask when you are thinking of joining a sync library, and maybe trailer. Maybe I'll do 2 episodes, one for sync library, one for trailer library. So that might come down the road. If there's an episode or questions you have, let me know. Drop it in the comments here. Let me know what episode you would like, or what insight you would like to have. Again, I'm going to try to keep these episodes under 10 minutes. I might bring in over some long form content from other channels, such as Instagram, where I do like 2-hour rants driving home from work. And I do work. I think I mentioned that before. I do work full time, so I'm going to transition over, whether it takes a couple of years, but transitioning from working full time to being able to hopefully use music full time to support my family and wife and kids. So that's the journey I'm on, and the journey is taking me in the sync and trailer space. And I'm also currently in the search for sponsors. So any of these brands here, or any brands out there, I have, PreSonus, I have Loudon Audio, IK Multimedia, Isotope, Native Instruments, there's Spitfire Audio. So yeah, any of these brands here, looking for sponsors. As I'm planning events, as I'm working with these companies to put panels together, I assisted AES with putting together, adding some people to their podcast panel they have coming up next month. Working with NAM on some panels that's coming up in January. So yeah, and then working on a special sync conference. I'll share more details as we flesh out the finalize those details. Working with some great people in the sync space to put together a virtual sync conference that you can attend also. So I'll start talking about that soon once we have everything settled, and I will share more details. Until then, be safe and be well. Again, let me know in the comments what you want to learn about in the sync or trailer space. I also want to do a couple days just focusing on the trailer space. Yeah, we'll get to it. So have a great day. More episodes on the way. Be safe and be well, everyone. This is Marcus DeFingaz, DaFingaz. All right. Peace.